You're listening to the Black Eagles podcast with Sinan and Kaan.
Ahmet Dursun Sergen aldı. Sergen Bülent yan yana. Sergen Bülent. Sergen. Yanında Tümer var. Tümer'e doğru aksınlar gitti. Tümer topu aldı. Sergen aldı. Gol! Gol! Gol! Sergen attı. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi. Sergen attı.
İbrahim'in pası. Şimdi Ahmet. İkinci gole gidiyor Beşiktaş. Ahmet.
Welcome back, everybody! I am your host, Sinan live from New York City. This is Beşiktaş International's The Black Eagles podcast, and we're back. Back from a long break. Sorry for the delay. Lots of people getting sick, throw up, lots of just bad things happening, but that's simply on personal levels for me and my co-host, Kaan, everyone.
Yeah.
Welcome.
I think that we were trying to plan it for Friday, as we had promised our listeners we'd be recording every Friday. So I guess it was not last Friday, but the Friday before we were planning on recording. And you were like, "Oh man, I'm really sick. You know, I can't do it tonight. Maybe tomorrow I'll feel a little bit better." But then Saturday you didn't really feel better either, and on Sunday I think I had something to do, and then we were gonna line things up for the week
down for the
this
count.
past week.
Yep.
And then
You got what I had.
I mean, I've only been better since literally today. Like today I feel okay. Like yesterday I was still kind of like, I was okay, but I was like still feeling the aftershocks, so to speak. And obviously I think I don't really think we had the same thing. I mean, you were...
Maybe. It sounds similar. I mean, one thing I'll say is that I think both of us probably handled it all right, but we both also have kids who also had this thing.
Oh.
And so both of us were thrown up on in the same calendar week anyway.
Yeah. Yesterday
so that's fancy.
Was, but for me it was completely out of nowhere because Aiden was doing okay and he was just playing. He was sitting next to me on the couch and I think he was playing a little mobile game on my iPad, and suddenly I feel like warmed on my lap. I'm like, what the fuck? And then I realized he's fucking puking on me. And I'm like, oh my god!
No.
And like my first reaction is, oh my god, don't suffocate in your own puke. Like I wasn't even like, you know, most people
don't pull a Hendrix.
Most people would be like, oh my god, that's so disgusting. Like I didn't even flinch. In fact, I sat there for like 10 minutes or so afterwards when Kim took Aiden to the shower to clean him up. I was just sitting there in the puke still.
In shock.
No, I wasn't in shock at all. I was just trying not to move because I didn't want to get it all over the place. So I was just waiting until Kim came back with like a towel or something to start like cleaning it up a little bit so I could get up because I couldn't even stand.
You had like a pool in your lap.
Like my entire leg was full of kid vomit, but it didn't smell that bad because you had like a candy a little bit before that.
There you go.
It actually smelled
the
like
value of feeding your kid candy.
It smelled like the candy he had eaten, so it was actually
okay. This is getting a little TMI.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I was woken up at like 3 a.m. She was sitting up in her bed. I like came to like give her a hug. Oh, you have a bad dream? Like, no. It turned out she was just gonna vomit all over me. So it was less polite in that sense.
Yeah.
But,
oh yeah, he had to puke again afterwards later, so I kept him home from school today. So we've just been having a game day today. Like he's 4.5 years old, he was already running around with my horse in Red Dead Redemption.
Nice. It's funny because my daughter has been watching me play Jedi Fallen Order quite a bit as well. So she's like, "Go to the left. Watch out for the stormtrooper."
Oh yeah.
She called the stormtrooper a buckethead from Rebels. I was like, yeah, it's so sweet. You know?
Oh, yeah, Aiden's a great assistant too. Like when it's like massive shootouts, he's like up on the roof, up there. It's great. It's great. He's a great assistant. He's like 4.5 years old and he's already better at it than I am.
We're like admitting to being bad parents live on air, but hey, But anyway, and speaking of, so the point in mentioning that we've had bad news personally is because that's actually juxtaposed this week with some good news for a change on the Beşiktaş front. Sort of. I mean, with a little bad news because it is still 2019 after all. But last time we spoke in episode 92, we talked all about the big win against Galatasaray, which had come on the back of some decent results, a good win against Alanya and a draw against Ankaragücü. Since then, we've played 2 league matches and one European match. I guess we did the first Braga match the week before. But so yeah, we've played Antalyas away, Braga at home, away, sorry, and then Denizli at home.
Yeah.
And 2 wins in the league, and of course a loss in Europe. But just, nothing like an annual referee decision in Europe to
annual
mark your calendar every year.
It's been non-stop this year. I mean, 3 out of the 4 games the Europa League, we have literally lost 3 out of 4 games because of the ref. I think the only match we didn't lose because of the ref was the Wolves match, and that was just one of those games that we should always win, but then we end up losing in the end because we didn't score. But I mean, Slovan Bratislava, you could make the case the referee was really bad, but you could easily make the case that we would have lost that match anyway if the ref was good, because he would have sent off Karius if not. But we're gonna conveniently ignore that, and we're just gonna look at how he fucked us, and that's like basically in the end, Pedro Rebocha just gets blatantly kicked in the face by their striker. The striker, I mean, I'm not saying he should get sent off because there's no malicious intent really, but he could have easily gotten sent off. But no, they get a corner and they score. The least that should have happened there was a free kick for foul, for dangerous play. It's like the very least. But he gives a corner and they score a 3-2 on that, which was in the 3rd minute of stoppage time, and that we end up losing that match 4-2 because they score another goal right after. But we lose that match 100% because of that poor decision there. Not disguising how poorly we played, of course. But then
let's talk about this match. So yeah, although we're not going to go chronologically, we'll talk Braga first, and why not? Let's get the bad news out of the way first. But so the match ended 3-1. Braga, they had previously defeated Beşiktaş 1-0.
1-2.
1-2,
with that offside goal in the 81st minute
in Istanbul.
Another referee.
Another ref shellacking. Yeah. But yeah, this one seemed worse somehow.
This was worse.
It was a terrible match from the get-go. A lot of cards given against it. It feels like they're playing Beşiktaş on reputation, and for some reason they have this view of Beşiktaş as like the bad boy troublemaker, so they're like looking to give them cards, because there were 2 cards in the first half, one for Rocco, one for Caner, before the red card that you mentioned, which was for Jermaine Lens. And just generally the ref seemed like he's just one of those refs that needs to be involved in matches. I forgot the stat. Yasin, one of our friends from Beşiktaş International, said that the same ref had been involved in like 20 cards in 6 matches or something. That's not at all an accurate statistic.
I didn't have the impression early on that he was like that type of ref, though. Like he just seemed to be one of those referees that was
trying to stamp things out early or whatever.
I don't know what it was, because I don't know. I really didn't have the impression that he was going to be a bad ref, apart from the fact that he was, again, from some obscure nation, I think Lithuania. No offense if you're from Lithuania listening to this, but I mean, the Lithuanian league, questionable level, and obviously then the referees, their level is going to be questionable too. And I think the referee we had against Slovan Bratislava was from Estonia or something. So similar, comparable. So we had an Estonian ref, I believe, might be wrong there, and then we had a Lithuanian ref here, and in both cases we had very poor performances. Now, like I pointed out earlier, against Bratislava, that had poor performance for both teams because Karius had gotten sent off, whatever. But here it was really one-sided in the sense that at 1-1 we should have a penalty and a yellow card for the goalkeeper because it's not a double punishment anymore.
Right.
But that's at 1-1. That's like minute 35 or whatever. And then like in minute 44, Jermaine Lens gets one of the most ridiculous red cards that we've ever received in European football, bar the Andreas Beck one against Dynamo Kiev.
Don't forget, yeah, I was going to say that's the main one probably.
Yeah. I mean, I minded that one more.
Well, and so, yeah, to bring you listeners up to speed, in that match, Paulinho struck very much against the run of play in the 14th minute of that game to give Braga the lead 1-0. But in the 29th minute, Tyler Boyd, with a fancy little finish, got his first goal for Beşiktaş, and that's certainly noteworthy.
Yeah, and how did
just as a milestone for him and for the club?
How'd they call it in the US? Like a Cruyff finish or something?
Oh, there was a lot of Cruyff talk, but I don't know if that.
I think that
might have been about something else. Yeah, whatever.
You shared.
It was a great finish.
Yeah, it was a very good goal. Yeah. To paint a picture, he got the ball in the box, cut it
on
to
the right
his,
side,
cut it to his left feet, and then slotted it in. Maybe if you watched it, but don't remember it now. But it was a very good finish, and you could also see that it boosted him. His confidence, and he played a really good game, I felt, and I was disappointed that he didn't go on to start against Denizli in the next match, which I completely expected him to, because I think he deserved it.
He did feature, and
feature
again. Had energy, so hopefully he keeps building on that. But that was obviously, that was what he needed, and as you say, I agree. I think it probably merited him another look at that starting job, especially given Jermaine Lens being red carded, although we both agree he did not deserve it.
Yeah, I didn't deserve it. But he hasn't been playing very well either in recent games, I feel.
Yeah, he peaked. He was playing very well for a short bit, and then he's stalled out a little bit. I mean, he's not been like a net negative player, especially if he didn't deserve that card, which we both agree he didn't. But anyway, to finish up the thought I was on earlier, Paulinho scored again in the 37th minute after we should have been awarded a penalty, and that was a really bitter pill to swallow.
It's going to be tough to swallow with a pillow.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Thanks for that, Kaan. But yeah, so going down when we should have been up was tough.
That's what she said.
And especially given the sort of injustice in it. And then for that to be followed up 6 minutes later with the Jermaine Lens red card, really, we went into the half of that match seeing red, all of us as fans.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the thing is, we were already... It was the fourth match of the group. We were already out because we lost the first three. So it's not like we even really cared about this match. I mean,
it's just the way it happened.
The club barely cared about it because we started a B team or a C team, whatever you want to call it. But to lose like that, I mean, also I kind of have this feeling of do Braga really need the referee to beat our C team twice now? Exactly. Like the first time was kind of a fluke. I mean, an offside goal when there's no VAR, that shit happens, That's why you need VAR in the Europa League, UEFA, come on. But then this was just, come on, that was too much. This is too much. I said it on the Football Turco podcast because we did manage to record that last week. I did say it there. I said, look, a red card when there's no VAR, or even when there is VAR, it doesn't matter. You, as a referee, need to be 100% sure if you're going to pull a direct red. Look, if it's a second yellow card, that's a little bit different, but a direct red card...
that's got to be obvious to everyone in the stadium.
You need to be 100% sure. And if you look at that red card, everyone, whether they're Fenerbahce fans, Galatasaray fans, Trabzonspor, they all said, "Well, that's ridiculous."
I don't even know if it deserved a yellow. I mean, it was whatever.
I think the yellow.
Just to piggyback on something else you said, and to keep our listeners I'm doing you're doing the color commentary, and I'm doing the analysis, I guess. Or no, I guess vice versa, whatever it is. But the starting lineup that you'd mentioned, which was very abnormal, signaling that the club was not particularly invested in winning this match, which is, again, natural and normal given how poorly we'd been playing coming into it with 0 points. But yes, it was abnormal. The back line itself, so Karius is the only sort of mainstay there, but John Erikin played on the left side with Nejip on the right. Enzo Rocco started again next to Domagoj Vida. Jermaine Lenz on the right side. Tyler Boyd on the left. Kartal Kaira Yilmaz and Ozan in the middle with Umut Nair and Guven Yalchin up front.
Mm-hmm.
So Guven Yalchin, I suppose Google lists it as a kind of classic 4-4-2. I think Guven Yalchin was set behind Umut Nair a little bit. But fascinating little bit of play there since, again, I don't think Braga should be happy winning a match like that, feeling like they would need.
They were even lucky to win in the end. I think their win was even slightly flattering because right before they scored the 1-3, we almost have an equalizer from the terrible Guven, who actually had a good shot. And I think there were a couple of moments in the second half where we probably drew close to an equalizer. And honestly,
you mentioned Rebosha getting kicked in the face later in the match.
That was in the Bratislava game. The Bratislava game that I meant.
Oh, was it? Yeah. Because he did enter that match in the second half. But anyway, yeah, it was. I mean, both of Paulinho's goals were against the run of play and kind of, I don't know, his finishes were classy, but also.
I mean, if you look at the two games, I mean, all four of their goals were kind of against the run of play. Yeah, but I mean, kudos to Braga for their 6 points against us, and I think they were very lucky to get away with 6 points, and I think they can thank the referees in both of those matches for those points. But
hard to disagree there.
But at the end of the day, for us, the story was over already anyway, and I think we were focused more on the league, which is clear by the lineup. And let's just move on to the league. There's some better news there.
I mean, just to wrap up the Europa League discussion in general, we're still sitting there with 0 points with one match to go against Slovan Bratislava.
2 games.
Which will be...
We still have a Wolves game too.
Oh, gosh, that's right.
Yeah.
I almost just wish there was one. It's like a waste of time.
Still have Wolves
but so we have the Wolves next, actually.
Yeah.
But so, 2 more to go. I wouldn't expect much out of them. I think we're going to see more of the Kartal Kaira Yilmaz's and whatnot, which I'm okay with, honestly. I don't think there's any reason to... one question I have for you, Kaan, because I don't think we're going to have any reason to talk about him otherwise. What were your thoughts on Enzo Rocco, who we finally got to see get some extended run?
Yeah, serviceable.
With the team.
I mean, okay. He's okay, not great.
He fell off, actually.
I prefer Isimat Mirin over him, if I'm quite honest.
Yeah.
I think they're...
I actually didn't... Neither one of us disliked Isimat Mirin, so that...
Yeah. I mean,
another bitter pill to swallow.
Don't dislike Rocco, but I don't think he's worth the wages that we pay him. But that's that.
That's another issue, yeah.
I think... Isimat...
Good to see... It was good to see him being serviceable. I think he looked better initially, and then in this last game he was exposed a bit more. At least his pace was. But at the same time, I don't think he had any memorable blunders or anything. So,
no, I don't think so either.
Any fans of the Chilean national team? I don't know if he's earned his place back in the squad with these few performances. I would say he might feature a little bit more, as he could have solidified his spot as our third central defender. At least I hope so, over Nejip.
I think he might have, yeah.
But so let's, as you mentioned earlier, let's move back to the league and let's talk Turkey. That's an expression.
Yes,
here.
Thanksgiving coming up soon here in the States for you, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Talk Turkey.
Let's talk Turkey.
Well, so let's talk the Turkish Super League specifically. let's go to the Antalya match, which was before Braga, actually. Which again, I'll just cut to the chase. Was a win on the road, a 1-2 or 2-1 win, if you will. Could have been more. It would have been a little less heart attack inducing, I suppose. But before I hand it over for analysis, I just want to talk about the tactic, the formation, because it was again, I think, our strongest one. The four guys on the back line were Rebosho, Ruiz, Victor Ruiz, that is, Domingos Vida, and Gökhan Gönül, El Neni, and Atiba on the back line, which has actually resulted in some pretty decent play. Diaby this time played behind the striker Umut Nahir, with Adem Ljajic on the left side and German Lenz on the right. I'd personally like to see Tyler Boyd there. But this was before the Braga match where he scored and really shined. So again, whatever. I won't hold that against him too much for this match. But so here we finally see that vaunted 4-2-3-1 or 4-2-2-1-1 or whatever we call it. But yeah, I feel like that's the formation that you and I are most comfortable with, probably.
Look, at the end of the day, it's just another variation of the 4-3-3. Or you could even make an argument that it's a variation of a 4-4-2 because Diaby is playing more as a second striker than he is as an actual number 10. So
absolutely, yeah.
It's I mean, it all just a little depends on the tasks you give the players.
And the players' ability. Like Diaby has clearly, I think, stood out as a secondary striker. That's, I think, his best role. And he's put together some really nifty performances.
That's where he was best at Club Brugge too, when he played alongside Aston Villa's Wesley. Now playing for Aston Villa, but he used to play for Brugge, obviously. When they used to play together, and Wesley was obviously the big target man, and Diaby was the guy, hovering around him, playing off his shoulders. That's where Diaby stood out most. But Diaby has also had a very successful season at Brugge as lone striker, so he can do both. Diaby, when he plays in a central role, is, I feel, when you get the best out of him. But that doesn't mean that he can't have his moments. I feel like he has had a lot of good moments on the right too, where he beats his man.
He seems to have settled generally in Turkey with the club, whatever it is, but he's playing.
But he's done that. He was doing that early on as well. But even when he was getting criticism left and right from people, and I'm thinking mainly of one in particular, but person that is. But he had those moments of flair where he got past his man easily in the early games too. But we'll get to it a little bit later when we talk about the Denizli match too. But he had good moments there when he was playing on the right. But here, when he's behind the striker, I feel like that's where he shines most, and he got on the score sheet here, obviously. So that's the thing.
Sorry, got stuffed up there suddenly. Yeah, I mean,
another Turkey reference.
No, I hadn't thought of that. I thought the score line sort of belittled the performance because the game was really good all around. Beşiktaş played well.
First half.
That goal they scored against us was just the type of thing to add a little stress to our day. And it was perfectly timed for them to maybe make that comeback, unfortunately. But it was very much against the run of play. And even afterwards, it's like Beşiktaş did a pretty good job of controlling the match.
Yeah, it took them really long until they got a really proper chance again, but then it was a really big one right at the end. I think in the 87th minute, Serdar Özkan, or academy product of course, a former top talent. I remember him seeing him making his debut at age 16 in 2003.
I was a big Serdar Özkan fan, actually. He's the guy that, like, in FIFA, I would focus my development on, make sure he became a star. One of those guys that never panned out.
Yeah. Anyway, he almost scored, but Loris Karius continues
Saved our
his
butts.
phenomenal performances. And not so long ago, people were saying that Karius doesn't save Beşiktaş any points, and I think
That Muslera was what differentiated us from going today.
But here, Karius definitely saved Beşiktaş 2 points. I'm not saying that it would have been justified if Antalya got the points, because I think based simply on the amount of clear-cut goal-scoring opportunities we managed to create in the first half, we should have been 4-0 up at halftime. Yeah. And honestly, Antalyaspor were better in the second half, but it's not like they created a bunch of chances, like a plethora of chances. We should have been far more comfortably in the lead. I think if we make that third goal in the first half, then we never really get into any trouble here. But this is just 2-0 is a treacherous scoreline, because all they need is that one goal to get back into the match. Like 2-0 is never a comfortable lead. It just isn't, unless it's like minute 93 or something. then maybe it's a comfortable lead. But it was just one of those games, and we got the job done against a team that we really should be beating right now. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think they beat Fenerbahçe and Kadıköy just a couple of weeks ago. So it's they lose 1 week at home to Gençlerbirliği 6-0, and then the week after or the week before they win 1-0 in Kadıköy. So this league is so unpredictable right now. With so many teams that you just don't know, are we going to be able to beat them easily? Are they going to cause us trouble? I mean, because I think we went on into the Denizli game expecting, okay, we're on a good run right now, we're in a good form, we're probably going to make easy work of Denizlispor, and that didn't end up happening.
Yeah, and we haven't even gotten to that one yet. But I mean, so going back to the Antalyaspor match, though, I think it's I'm going to do the stat flash again, because I feel like this time we have some interesting stats that take a bit. I mean, that tell a sort of story that could be misleading. Because you mentioned that we were definitely the more dangerous side, had the better chances. But if you look at the stats, Antalyaspor had 14 shots to our 12, although 6 of ours were on target to their 4. Which, by the way, is a very efficient day in front of the goal for us. 6 of 12. But that's not accurate. They had a ton of shots from distance that were not dangerous. Karius wasn't called into play that much. I mean, when he was very solid, as you mentioned. Beşiktaş did have 58% of the possession to their 42%, so that starts to tell the story, I think, a little bit. 565 passes to their 413, 82% accuracy to their 78. So, I mean, they actually played fairly efficiently in the match, but I don't think that they were nearly as dangerous as the stats reflect.
No.
So,
I don't think so either.
For anyone who did maybe miss the match but saw the stats and the final score being 2-1, it's not inaccurate. I think we were all nervous because we know what can happen in football, especially in Turkey. But if you look at the sort of general run of play, Beşiktaş definitely was the better side. And was mostly in control.
I didn't have the feeling we were going to drop points here. I was more afraid. I more had that feeling against Denizlispor than I think against Antalyaspor. I never really had the feeling that they were going to find an equalizer.
Yeah.
Even though they got super close at the end.
Well, and unlike with Denizlispor, I think we might start transitioning to that match. But unlike in the Denizlispor match, Beşiktaş was fairly, they scored twice early. Domagoj Vida scored in the 9th minute, I believe. Let me quickly pull that up. And Diaby scored like in the 12th minute. Let me quickly double check this. My numbers are right. Yeah, 9 and 11.
9 and 11, I think.
9-11. Oh man. In the 11th minute, Diaby scored on a nice little goal, by the way. Diaby's been so dangerous. But so by the 11th minute, we were up 2-1. So if anything, it was our ruthless efficiency that maybe had us resting on our laurels a little bit, maybe not as dangerous as we could have been for the rest of the match. But so, yeah, after the 52nd minute, when Mukairu scored, it became more of a game, obviously. But even still, like I said, Beşiktaş seemed to be comfortably in charge. But so let's just keep it moving. Because we've already started alluding to it quite a bit, and it's I think we've said just about what we need to as far as Antalya goes. maybe we'll circle back when we do a more general analysis later. But as far as Denizli goes, again, Beşiktaş won. And so we'll certainly need to talk about our position in the standings now that all of this is said and done. But Beşiktaş was victorious at home against newly promoted Denizlispor, but just 1-0. And there was just one. The one goal scored was in the 70th minute by George Kevin Onkudu, who, again, stellar, although he did not start in this match.
No,
He just
came
returned
back from
an
his injury.
Yeah. So he spelled Adem Liyayet on the left side. And, yeah, to great effect, obviously. He came in and scored fairly quickly.
Off a light assist.
Didn't he come in for that? No, Liyayet got moved to the middle, right? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Light went off for, I don't know, I want to say Tyler Boyd later?
Tyler Boyd, yes. No, Tyler Boyd came in. Yes, Tyler Boyd came in for Adem Liyayet, and so then it changed the tactic again, but or the formation rather. But so what's nice is that Nkudu came in the 61st minute and scored in the 70th. So it didn't take him long to make an impact. And I mean, the moment he came in, you saw like his pace was still there, or hadn't been impacted by his injury. I guess he was dangerous. And it was a great finish from him, actually. Much less chicken with his head cut offy than we normally have seen from him in that regard.
I just felt it was one of those strike the ball and hope it goes in type of deals. Blindly strike.
It felt more placed. I thought it was placed. Anyway,
it's kind of like curled away. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I felt like the goalkeeper could have done a little bit better, but I'm not complaining.
Yeah. And I don't know. It was one of those matches where we just we were obviously the better side, but just had nothing up front. The lack of a striker, or Burak Yilmaz's rust.
the lack of a decent official. I felt the referee played a really big role in this match, and I think we all kind of discussed it in the group that if this had been an away match with this type of referee with these big decisions going against us, or rather not maybe going against us but not going in our favor, or whatever you want to call it, there's two very clear red card situations. The first one on Caner Erkin by their right back, I guess, number 23, I think.
Well, so we didn't talk about the formation. It was it was the same as Antalya's with Victor Ruiz and Gongo in the back, and Hlobosho and Gökhan Gönül, and El Neni and Atiba, and Diaby behind the striker. But the one big change, obviously Burak Yilmaz coming back, which didn't quite work out. But Caner Erkin played on the right side as a midfield, as a right winger, which is obviously where Tyler Boyd should have played.
Yeah, he started on the right, but he switched to the left pretty quickly, I felt.
Yeah, I think the Diaby moved to the right, Liyayet into the middle, and Caner to the left. I mean, but I don't see the need in playing games like that, especially given the form that Tyler Boyd was coming in on. As we mentioned,
100% agree. I think that undercuts the players' morale. Tyler Boyd just came off a really good performance against Braga. His confidence is growing there, and then you just cut it straight off.
And that's what we want. We want him to settle. We want him to build his confidence.
You cut his legs out from under him by doing stuff like it. Kind of felt like Şenol Güneş type of stuff.
Yeah.
Like he did that a lot with guys like Lens, like stop and go, and I kind of felt like that he did it here with Boyd. The only difference is that you're really going out of your way to play
someone out of position. Yeah, and I mean, my honest feeling about this summer is that the guys who we absolutely need to settle and are the guys who we paid for outright. Guys like Tyler Boyd, obviously Nkudu, and there's no problem in that regard. These are the guys that need to be playing regularly and settling because we're stuck with them. There's not like a whatever, we don't have to extend their option anyway. And as great as El Neni has been and whatever, I mean, Hlobosho we're also buying, right? Outright?
I don't know if it's an obligation or whatever, but probably.
He certainly earned it. He's been phenomenal.
Yeah, but we can also look at it this way. He's going out of his way to start Caner on the right to be able to start him, but not to have to take Rebocho out.
Yeah,
So that's
that's good
positive,
news, yeah.
I guess.
And because, again, Robocho's earned that left back slot now, I think. He's
Yeah, and plus
solid.
the way Janner has performed this season, he doesn't really deserve to get taken out of the team either because he's been very important this season. He's been good in most matches.
Agreed.
So I understand it a little bit, but just play the players in their positions. If don't go and play Janner on the right wing just to play him.
Knowing that you can have Janner on the bench and he can come in for either the left back or the left midfielder at any point in the match as a substitute is a strength of his. Like that kind of utility flex option is something that you should be utilizing and not forcing him into a position where we have a young guy who needs confidence, who's building it, and belongs there.
Yeah. Plus, if you're gonna go with Rebocho as your starting left back from now on, which I think we're kind of moving towards, and then Nkudu coming back from injury, so he'll be your starting left winger. Janner's gonna lose his place anyway. So
and that's why we got Rebocho. I mean, Janner's older. I think he's at that age where his value is gonna be kind of coming off the bench in that utility flex.
Yeah, and how well he deals with not being a starter every week. But at the end of the day, Janner's still going to get plenty of playing opportunities in between, European competition, in between the cup. Yeah. I mean, obviously, we're not just talking about this season.
Exactly.
I think Janner's a player that still has value for a couple of years, maybe
even
one,
3,
at least
possibly 3.
At least one more, probably 2, maybe 3. I feel the same way about Gökhan Gönül, by the way, who's 34, 35 years old already. I still feel like he's definitely got 1 more year, maybe 2, left in him, and Janner for sure still has 1 or 2, maybe 3.
Well, and
we'll have to wait and see.
In terms of Janner is we definitely have the next generation for that position. I don't necessarily know that we do in Douglas on the right side. I don't know. I mean, I can't.
He's been underwhelmed.
I need to see more. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. We need to see more, but I mean, obviously, you also have to keep in mind that the standard that Gökhan Gönül sets and the standard that Janner sets, the difference. I mean, Janner, I like him. I think he's a okay player, but he's never been the best left back, especially defensively. I mean, his offensive contribution at times are stellar, but defensively, obviously, everyone knows. We don't need to say that he's not the best defensive left back, because everyone knows that already. But with Gökhan Gönül, you're to this day still the best right back in Turkey.
Yeah, and his impact on a match, it's actually kind of nonsense that he's not on the national side, but his impact...
I mean, you have Zeki Çelik there. Obviously, he's
the
starter.
I don't mean necessarily to start, but as a presence, like he's a leader.
Yeah, but you have to keep in mind, Gökhan Gönül is playing with injections almost every week.
True. No, it's probably better for us.
I think it's fine to transition him out of the national team. I don't think he minds that himself either.
This is my point. If I were the national team manager, I wouldn't be too comfortable leaving him out, at least to have as a leader on the bench, and certainly as a
he
guy
has Emre, he has Burak, he has all those guys already.
Yeah, my feeling on those two in particular, though. I feel like I want a leader who's not gonna try to strangle the referee when the time arises for it. Not to say that I don't want to strangle referees myself, but I wouldn't name myself captain either. But anyway. Back to Denizli. Only the 1 goal in the 70th minute. You started to talk about this. There's the 2 red cards that should have been awarded. So this game, again, we've really struggled with refs, but at least in the league, we've kind of overcome those struggles, results-wise.
In the league, I don't know if in the league we've really struggled with refs.
In this last match, I guess.
Yeah. This one I thought the referee was horrendous, but I don't. Did we really have issues with referees, major decisions this season that went against us?
No. I was talking about how
wrong
we had
decisions. I mean,
multiple,
obviously,
we just had Braga and then Denizli, multiple games in a row. But now, I don't think it's been regular in the league at all. In fact, it's been a pretty decent season in that regard. Usually we have many more gripes about refs than we have had.
Yeah, for sure. I think I think far. I mean, there's been positions this season I think where we probably think we should have maybe had a VAR check or something on a penalty or something, whatever. And there's a couple of those in this match where I think there's 3 penalty shouts that there was no VAR check, and I think all 3 of them were at least worth a look.
Yeah.
By the ref. Then there's the red card positions. I think the first one first one is a red card, direct red card, 100%. He plants his studs on the Achilles of Janner, has no chance whatsoever to even get the ball because there's a man in between him and the ball. He comes from behind. It's a red card. And then the second one in the second half on Diaby from Isaac Saki, sliding tackle from behind, I believe. Also another dark red card. 2 100% red cards that the referee misses, that VAR misses. Very weird decisions. I mean, the penalties you can talk about those. I think you can make a case.
In the non-calls for penalties.
Yeah, those positions you can argue against.
I mean, for me, the first 2 were clear missed calls on penalties. There was like another one in the second half, and then actually for me there was even a fourth, or a second, a first early in the second half. There was one that I thought I didn't actually get a good enough look, to be honest, but like at first glance it looked like it could have been, and then I like got up to get water and missed the replay or something. But yeah.
I think the thing you can say is like on the first one on Diaby with the one with the elbow or the arm in the face. I think there you can make the case that look, he goes down really easy, like he's looking for it. You can make
maybe, but it still doesn't excuse. Like what I actually think he's doing is trying to bring attention to the fact that he's been elbowed in the face, which is totally a penalty. So I mean the way we look at it is, so I don't want to like do that,
Yeah, but the way from our point of view is, look, his arm has no business being there. The only thing that arm is doing is blocking Diaby's ability to get across.
And the only part of his body it can hit is his face, because it's high enough up there. Like,
I mean, I think if you cut off that arm, if there's no arm, I think Diaby gets past him and gets on the ball. Yeah. So I think it's a penalty. Exactly. But I can see where people would say, look, he's going down super easy and he's looking for the penalty, because he is. I mean, he is going down easy.
But sometimes you got to, though, like I feel like it's overlooked that sometimes it's a guy's job to bring attention to the fact that he's been fouled, But whatever. He
can also, I mean, would you run into a tree like full force, or would you slow down a little bit?
Exactly, yeah.
You're going to run into it either way. What are you going to do? Are you going to run into it like a mule and hit your head and get a concussion? Or are you going to, maybe
try to soften the blow.
Try and dive a little early.
Exactly.
To avoid the majority of the collision. So for me, that was a penalty. The first one on Lage, I've gone back and forth on that one, because at first I thought Stonewall penalty. Then I was like, oh wait, did he get the ball actually?
I don't think he did.
I was under the impression that he got the ball, and I was like, okay, it's not a penalty then. But then people like on the Football Braga podcast, Umut I think told me, and he's a Galatasaray fan, he's like, he didn't get the ball. So I'm like, oh well, then it's a penalty again. And so I've gone back and forth on that one, and then the third one on Diaby again. So that's 2 penalties on the potential penalties on Diaby, plus a goal. He didn't score a goal actually in this match. He scored a goal against Antalyas. But again, just to illustrate how involved he is. But then the second one on Diaby, I think he gets past his man and then just gets pushed down. And it's a very dangerous position where he gets past his man, because he's on the back line. He's able to lay it off. He's able to pick a man. It's a super dangerous position. So for me, again, I think all 3 could be penalties.
I have a conspiracy theory. a hot take conspiracy theory. I feel like there's such a thing as being too small or too big, actually, in football, where you automatically get calls or don't get calls. Like sometimes a guy is just really big and isn't being physical. Just a little guy rams into him, and like it's not the big guy's fault that he's like towering, like he didn't fall too. And so he
You
gets
see
a
it a lot
call.
with strikers when they're going up for the long,
Yes,
when the goalkeeper kicks the ball up the field and they're going up for a header, and the big guy just jumps, doesn't do anything wrong, and just gets the ball called against them.
Exactly.
You see it all the time.
And then on the flip side, where with Diaby, the little guy being where he can be too small, is like people just assume, oh, he just fell over because he's so little. Oh, of course he's getting overpowered because he's just such a little guy. But like sometimes, just because you're little doesn't mean you're not getting like hit in the face or whatever. Like so, there's like a range of sort of acceptable heights that the refs kind of treat normally, and then there's these extremes that kind of get unfair treatment on either end. But anyway.
Yeah, definitely agree with you. But apart from that, I mean, we did manage to find a winner in the 70th minute. We did create some chances, but I think this match could have been a lot easier if the referee did his job and gave that early red card, because that was like in like minute 20 or something. That was super early in the match. 100%. And that changes the entire game, because then they're down to 10 man after just 20 minutes. I think that gives us a major advantage. It could also it's happened in the past where if a team goes down early, they just become even more stubborn and they just park the bus even more and defend even more stubbornly, and it even becomes more difficult. But I think in this case it probably
was already like that, so yeah, I think that would have just broken their back.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it would have changed all that much, because in the first half, I think apart from that free kick, which I think was in the first half, Denizli sported absolutely nothing offensively. So I really think that it would not have changed anything in their advantage. I think it would have only worked in our advantage and would have tired them out quicker, so we would have gotten that goal quicker, probably, hopefully. So for me, I think those were big decisions. But apart from that, I do think we kind of struggled creating chances a little bit.
Yeah.
But,
and credit to Denizli, honestly. And credit to any coach who figures this out. Because, we are a team that's sort of trying to find its identity with all these new pieces. If you can disrupt our flow, and of course that means playing a little dirty, playing the not trying to cross the border and get carded or put yourself in danger.
Yeah, but
if you can disrupt us and play physically and just stop that flow.
But did you feel like Denizli Sport were playing particularly dirty apart from those two terrible tackles?
The penalties weren't even like egregious fouls. They were just fouls that should have been called. But they did a good job. They disrupted our flow and were physical but not dirty. And I think that's how you have to play a team like Beşiktaş now. Yeah. And of course, it's going to be more and more difficult because it seems like we're finding our footing. And one really nice thing to note is our last 3 goals are from Diaby, Tyler Boyd, and Nkudu. 3, right, for all of the negativity and the bad mouthing of our transfers and our team and everything, and the negative Nancy's coming out of the woodwork. I don't know, things are looking brighter suddenly.
I think it just goes to show you again that our transfer window really wasn't that bad, but we were just dealt such a tough hand with all those injuries and Yeah,
and they're naturally, when you bring in a bunch of new pieces and they're younger than the guys we're kind of getting used to having brought in late, it's going to take a little more time, and that's for our benefit long term because they're younger.
And if we start the season with Adam Laic and Burak Yilmaz, who were able to do an entire training camp, who were hitting their form right about the start of the season, and didn't have those physical setbacks and fitness setbacks that they went into the season with, I think if you have a fit Laic and Burak Yilmaz to start the season off with, you have a different season start. I don't think you have the terrible season start we had, because we were in a terrible position after 5 games. But there's also an interesting thing, and I don't know if you want to jump over to this already, but if you look at the league table,
that's what I was just about to do.
Yeah, but if you look at the league table and you look at basically which position are we in? Let's see, we're in 8th
place,
right
which
now.
Sounds terrible, but we're only 3 points back on first, and we're 1 point back on Galatasaray. I mean, we're like Yeni Malatya also has 18 points. They're just above us because of goal differential. Yeah. But so they're in 7th. But then Sivasspor is in first place with 21 points, just 3 points above us. Fener is in second with 22 points. If we beat Fener in our next match, we're above them. And we're at the point where we were kind of making up. So we were winning, but not really advancing up the table. We've been there. But I think now we're at the point that every win from here on out will actually start to translate
But
into better
Sinan, look,
standing.
we're in 8th position. So there's 7 teams above us right now. There's 11 matches we've played, and from the top 7, we have played number 1, we have played number 3, we have played against number 4, we have played against number 5,
6.
we have played against number 6. So we only haven't faced Fenerbahce and Yeni Malatya yet.
Yeah.
So those are the only 2 teams that we still have to play in our next 6 matches before the end of 2019. So in our next 6 matches, theoretically, we are only playing 2 teams that are on paper able to beat us.
And
On
Yeni
paper,
Malatya
obviously.
won big, had been winning, but they've actually been drawn by Kasim Pasha and Göztepe in subsequent weeks now. So Yeni Malatya is like losing steam in theory. Hopefully, we'll see how that goes.
And now, if you look at the teams who are below us, directly below us are Gaziantep and Rizespor. We have already played them. Then there's Göztepe. We have already played them. And then there's Konyaspor in 12th. We are playing them this week.
And only
Then there's
Gaziantep or Gazişehir, whatever, only they are actually within reach now. So these wins, although they haven't, seen us rise up the tables drastically, they have given us space between us and people beneath us. And again, I think if we can keep stringing some wins together, you're gonna start to see us shooting up the table because, we're literally 1 point, 2 points back from everyone above us. So it's a good time to be alive now that we're not throwing up or getting thrown up on investing. We can start to really enjoy.
From that bottom of the table, basically, we still play last placed Kayserispor, and we still play 16th place Gençlerbirliği. We still play Kasim Pasha. So we have, I'm not saying we're having a super easy schedule coming up, because obviously we know that in the Super League there are no easy games.
Fener,
we've learned that.
Fener, but whatever.
Yeah, we still have Fener, but like we already learned as well, there are no easy games because Fenerbahce probably expected to easily beat Kayserispor 2 weeks ago or something, and then ended up losing. So, you can go into a match with the bottom team in the league and end up losing. That's perfectly possible. But on paper, in our next 6 games, we have theoretically 4 games that we should have a good chance at winning, and then we have the Yeni Malatyaspor match, which is definitely gonna be a test. And for sure, away Fenerbahce, at this Fenerbahce, I think a point away against this Fenerbahce would be okay. And again, I don't know if we play Yeni Malatya at home or if we play them away. I think we play them at home. And then we still have our black sheep, Kasim Pasha, and Kayserispor and Gençlerbirliği. But all in all, I think our schedule isn't terrible. We could be heading into the second half of the season with a decent position in the league. And like you said, we're only 3 points behind the leaders right now. And honestly, just a month ago, if you would have told us then that we would just be 3 points off first place, heading into the international break that is now come and gone, I don't think either of us would have believed that.
Yeah. And so, exciting times ahead. Obviously, stay tuned. This coming Saturday, November 23rd, so that's a noon, 12 o'clock match for me here in New York City, which is 6 p.m. for you, Kaan, which means 8 p.m. in Turkey?
Yeah, 8 p.m. Konya away, so another.
This could be a rough one. That could be rough.
Yeah,
but sure. Konya's not in particularly good form. They're in 12th at the moment with only 13 points. Yep. So even if they beat us, they wouldn't catch us in the table or anything. We got to obviously hope for the best. I think we have some momentum right now, and we obviously want to build. In that sense, the international break came at a bad time. But considering how injury-riddled we've been, it probably doesn't hurt to give everyone some legs. It doesn't help that Burak was out on duty.
But he played a very good game against Iceland. He was, by many, called him man of the match. So
and he was rested in the second half because we'd already, which is sort of news flash. Turkey secures a place in the Euro Cup. So that's going to be exciting, and at least we'll see Burak play there. It's likely.
Probably. Yeah. But yeah, Burak hopefully regaining his form. I mean, we were really gonna need him to get on the score sheet and get his scoring boots on in these last 6 games of 2019.
Sure.
And
I think regardless,
heading
we're going to
into
need some insurance as a striker.
I think a striker is going to be a top priority. And then also, if you look at our squad right now, I think if we get a winger and a striker, that would be fantastic. I think if we get a right winger and a striker during the break, I think that's pretty much all we have to do, really.
So here's my question for you.
Well,
this could be our
maybe.
last talking point, I guess. There's not much to say, but my question right now, like for example, against Konyaspor in a few days, do you want to see Burak up front, or do you want to see Umut Nair?
No, Burak.
Yeah.
Burak.
I mean, because like
We have to win.
it's worth mentioning that Umut Nair had 2 goals and an assist in his last 3 matches. That might not be the case anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think he's put up numbers.
But you do notice that, I mean, despite even if he's getting on the score sheet, getting an assist, you still notice that he's at a lower level, even compared to a Burak looking still for his best form. I think, we have to try and get Burak back on his
that's the main
form,
factor,
and,
I think. And the main reason, even if maybe you see that Umut Nair is maybe in better form at the moment, you certainly need Burak getting, because his best form is significantly better than Umut Nair's best, at least from what we've seen. But I just, it's worth tipping our cap to Umut, who I was joking was a Zonguldak Komurspor level quality at, like most of the early season, and he has he's certainly convinced me that he's the third striker that you've seen him as for some time. So credit to him.
Yeah, I've said it before. I just think that a third striker doesn't need to be of the quality of a second, and certainly not your first striker.
I just didn't even know if he was good enough for that. To be honest, he's shown me some finishing instinct.
But from what he's shown in his career in the second division, I think you can see that he is that type of player. He's always been a goal scorer in the second division. Not a massive goal scorer, because if he was scoring 25 goals a year, then he wouldn't be in the second division. But he was scoring, like a Bobo did for us, like a consistent 12, 13 goals a season type of striker in the second division on decent size. He played for Ankara there, he played for Göztepe there, and I think Osmanlı when they were down there or something, or whatever. I don't remember exactly, but he's always been that type of striker that did well. So and relatively young. He's got height. He's got a decent build, and he's got a little bit of athletic ability to him too, which is also important. So I just always kind of saw that a little bit in him. But I never saw him as a first striker material level for Beşiktaş. Not even in not potentially. I always saw him as the perfect third striker, because you mustn't forget who was our third striker for the last decade. Yeah, Mustafa Bekdemek, which is not a bad player for that position, but not when he's making 1.7 million a year.
Well, you know what? And I gotta
Umut
say it, man. I know people like Bekdemek, but I am more comfortable with Umut Nair's ability to finish, having seen the couple, kind of decent ones we've seen lately. Then Mustafa Bekdemek hasn't shown me that in... Don't
underestimate Mustafa Bekdemek's finishing ability. He's a good header, good finisher with his feet. The thing with him is that he very frequently got played out of position as well. He very frequently got posted on the wings, especially by Bilic. Loved to play him on the wings as a hard-working winger. But the thing with Bekdemek is just that, he's very inconsistent in staying healthy. And the thing with him was, if he can stay healthy, and if he would be a player that stayed healthy, and he would make 60% less than what he was making. If he was like 600k a year, I would have loved to keep him around if he hadn't already made 1.7 million for the previous 5 years, because I really resented him for that. And I know that's kind of stupid, because you can't really resent a player for the club being stupid and offering that type of money, but yeah, I just he should have never gotten that contract in the first place. He was never worth that type of money. I think he was like, when we signed him, he was probably on like $1 million a year or something. No, he was on a lira-based contract, I think, when he first signed. But yeah, that's what he should have stayed on. He should have been on like a max 600,000-700,000 a year type of deal. And the thing with Umut now is he's on a lira-based contract, which I believe is somewhere around 350,000 euros when you convert it. So that's a perfect type of wage for a squad depth.
And what I like about that too is he's not like young, right? He's not going to say like, now I need a huge raise, like, because I don't think he's even necessarily earned one. But even beyond that, like, even if he has earned maybe that definitive third striker role, it'd be hard for me to imagine him demanding a raise, So, yeah, no, I've come around on
if he can get his,
I don't necessarily.
I think
agree.
If he can get his minutes in the cup and stuff, he's gonna, if we play a decent amount of cup games every year, if he can get his minutes there and he can get a couple of minutes in the league, and I think I believe he is a Beşiktaş fan too, so I think he'd be very happy with, 3-4 years on the bench at Beşiktaş as a irregular
sub. It's better, like playing in League One, so why not, right? And you get to be around higher quality players during practice, develop your game that way. I mean, there's probably perks all around, but beyond that, I think we need a striker, certainly a second striker behind Burak. I would argue hopefully we can try to find something that 24 to 26 range and someone who could potentially unseat Burak, at least long term.
Well, the financial crisis is still really big in the
that's
club,
the problem.
So we'll have to wait and see I don't know. That's the thing with Burak. The reason we got him was kind of to have that short-term fix, so we could bridge that period.
We don't have a bridge, so we need a bridge.
Yeah,
not just a bridge.
I don't know.
We need something at the end of the bridge on the other side.
Yeah. I don't know what we're gonna be looking for this winter. Is it gonna be a loan move for a temporary fix again, or are we gonna actually look for a long-term move? Erdal Torunulari has been put in charge of the transfer stuff, so I don't know what type of players we are going to be going after. Obviously, he has ties to the Netherlands because he is from Holland, and his brother still lives in Holland, I believe. So. No, that's not what I'm aiming at, but I could see him. I don't know. I maybe get like a Halil Dervishoglu on loan or something. But I do believe he actually was sold to an English club and then loaned to Sparta or something. Loaned back to Sparta. I'm not sure what the deal is there exactly, but I mean, it's just an example. But I mean, I don't know. I'm very interested in seeing what type of players he's going to come up with. Yeah, and maybe, I mean, he has a great relationship with Mario Gomez. Maybe he's gonna try and bring him back.
I mean, the one benefit to us, like maybe being able to get someone a little younger who can be a long-term solution, is that I think we really only need to focus on that position at the moment. I mean, obviously, ideally, we might also add a central midfielder. Ozan is whatever.
Yeah, but we need to also look forward. I mean, El Neni we have him on a year-long loan, and he's doing great right now for us. But then right now, what we're looking at, what do we like about our midfielders? That El Neni Atiba partnership. So we're still looking at our.
Well, but we're not going to do that.
37-year-old.
We're not going to do that this window, right? Because we still have El Neni at least. Yeah. It would be weird to replace him in his face while he's still contracted.
No, but I'm just saying, we have plenty
of other holes, no doubt. No, I mean, to be honest, I think if we can focus this winter window on the striker, that's our need this year. Next summer should literally just be central midfielder, defensive midfielder, on fleek. It's just only carry. That should be the main focus for that, because that's also where we have age and depth issues. Obviously, I'd like for Muhayyer Oktay or Kartal Kayra Yilmaz or someone like that to stand in. But
we need to hope for a miracle that we win the title this season. Which, I mean, I can't believe we're saying this and still talking about this. But if that would be a miracle if it happened. Yeah. But if we could pull that off, that would give us such a massive financial boost in the summer, and would give this new board such a breathing space that would give them something to work with, because honestly, if we go into into the summer next season again without Champions League money, it's just gonna put
That's
just
gonna
gonna
exacerbate the
make
problem.
things so much more difficult. And yeah, I'm not saying if we win the league, which I doubt we will, which I really don't think we will, but if we somehow manage to pull that off, it's just gonna make. It's going to give this board a fighting chance and give them a shot, because honestly, otherwise they're just constantly going to be fighting an uphill battle, and it's still going to be an uphill battle even if we manage to pull that off. But at least
anyone like
then
if you have like your heart set on Karius or El Neni or whatever it is, literally the only hope that there's any way we could raise enough money to sign one of those guys would be getting all the the league, the championship money, the Champions League
honestly,
money.
I don't even think that money would be used
I don't
for
either.
that.
I'm just saying, like, the only way that the odds go from like 5% to 10% are by that money coming in. So you gotta really be hoping for that if you want that sort of foundation maintained. But yeah, I think that's about it for this episode. We covered a lot of ground here. Again, stay tuned for this upcoming match against Konya. We'll be back to our regularly scheduled Friday programming. Hopefully no one will be thrown up on for a while. You can't discredit the possibility, but yeah. Kaan, do you have any final word? Plug stuff. Plug us. Twitter.
Just the usual stuff. Go and check out Sinan and I on Twitter. You can find Sinan at sir_writes_a lot. You can find me at Razerian, RAZZERIAN. You can follow the podcast at Eagles_podcast. Please leave us an iTunes review if you haven't done so already. Share with your friends and family. And yeah, that's pretty much all the important stuff, I'd say.
Except for one thing, which is vitally important. Our lives may depend on it, and that is Go Beşiktaş!
We're back! This time for real!
It's happening!
Jinx!
Yeah, man. Stay tuned, everyone. We're back. Everything is back on the table.
The
podcast is back. Everything's back. Happy to. Speaking of which, I gotta feed.
Beşiktaş International hopes you enjoyed this program.